Hello everyone and welcome to Odoo Live. My name is Nicole Kiss, Community Manager here at Odoo San Francisco office, and I will be your host for today's webinar. Today I'm joined by Sebastian Sagramoso, Business Advisor here at Odoo.
Hi everybody.
To discuss how to improve Bill of Material Management with Odoo PLM.
Today's presentation, everybody, will be about 30 minutes long, like most of our presentations. Afterwards, we'll look at probably about 15 minutes of questions, Q&A session. Feel free to shoot some questions to Nicole. She'll be reviewing that throughout the presentation, and I can take a look at whichever ones we have time for at the end.
Perfect. Also, if you would like to view this webinar again or share it with anybody, simply access the link to this video once the live stream is over, and you can watch it anytime once the live event has finished. Okay, so thanks again everyone for attending today. Let's get started with the webinar. Sebastian, this is all yours.
All right, thank you, Nicole, for the introduction. So, everybody, I first want to explain my role here at Odoo. I am a business advisor. There's a couple of us here, and I basically present the Odoo product to you. I understand the solution you're kind of looking for, and we take a look and see if Odoo is going to work or not. It's a very flexible platform, so I've learned how to really navigate my way around it and also to present it for particular clients. Of course, this will be a very general overview, but we'll look at a lot of the capabilities in the manufacturing and PLM module. I want to definitely make myself available to anyone who's new to Odoo, who has any questions. You can reach me here. My email is available right here. If you see it, ses@odoo.com. Very easy. Just shoot me a question if you like. And if you, like I said, are new to Odoo, would like a product demonstration, something like that, we can dedicate a little more time. You can actually schedule a meeting directly on my link here, odoo.com/r/demo Haley. I'll be happy to put some time on the calendar with you guys. So first off, let's take a look at what we're going to do today. I'll already started with the Odoo introduction. We'll take a look at the Odoo software in general, what the platform is, a quick overview for anyone who's brand new to the system. I'll then start out by presenting Odoo inventory and the manufacturing apps. Of course, in Odoo, everything is integrated, so it's important to understand what parts of the system are involved. Just because I'm manufacturing something doesn't mean I'm not also referencing other apps like inventory, product pages, and configuration. So we'll take a look at that. Once we've done that, we can actually run through a manufacturing order, see how that works in Odoo, and that will finally end up at the PLM and engineering change orders, one of the topics that we'll focus on here. And we can track how we are going to change products, versions of the bill of materials, of the routing, of the manufacturing process, so that we can track this throughout the lifetime of a product and for the company. At the end, like Nicole said, we'll be looking at the Q&A session, and we'll answer all the questions that we have. So with that, I'm going to jump right over to the Odoo software. If you've never seen it before, this is what I like to call our platform. As soon as you log in, you've got this screen. It's a lot like an iOS dashboard and features all the apps that you've downloaded from the system. If we scroll down here, we have an app store. For this particular presentation, I haven't downloaded most of our apps. I've focused solely on the ones relevant for the presentation. So here we are. Sales, purchases, inventory, manufacturing, and PLM will be included for this presentation. I've made this database from scratch. It's a test database just like any that you would start. If you do want to start a free trial at Odoo, just go to odoo.com, and in the top right, there's a button that says Try It Free. You'll be able to make a database just like this. Now, for this product, for this company, let me zoom out here a little bit, see if I can fix this for you guys. Perfect. For this particular company, I am a very simple chocolate manufacturer. I make chocolate bars, and I've kept everything as simple as possible. I don't have too many products here. As you can see from the first page in inventory, this is my company, my one location where I manage my receipts, my delivery orders, and also my manufacturing orders if I want to. At the top, inventory features a lot of schedule information for inventory automation, reporting on all of these products, what comes in, what comes out, the cost and valuation of each of those. And more importantly for right now, we'll be checking out the product page and how this is organized. So we look here and immediately we're looking at a Kanban view. However, it may be easier to look at a lot of this in the list view for dealing with hundreds if not thousands of products. We can prioritize by different categories here. Oh, excuse me, I think we're having a connection issue. One moment, please. Loud, because this kind of things can happen to your hardware. But one moment, I'm logging back in. And that should be good, right? So bear with me. I was at the products here. We were taking a look at Odoo inventory. And I was checking out what we have here. And we were looking at the list view of my products. The list view versus form view is part of the Odoo logic. In the top right, I can always change views depending on what screen I'm at. And a lot of these screens will look the same. A lot of the options will be the same, whether you're looking at a purchase order, a manufacturing order, a list of customers, and so on. And it's nice because you're quick to learn the system that way. The logic stays the same. I can use different columns here to prioritize information, and I can also use the search filter here. Now, an important note about Odoo is that what we consider a product is anything you have in your inventory. It's not just products that we sell. It includes the materials to make my chocolate bars. It includes the chocolate bar itself and everything in between. Everything that I want to charge to a customer, sell to them, something that I buy from a vendor, or something that I produce in-house. Let's take a quick look at my chocolate bar. This is what we'll be manufacturing today. And the product page here. Very important on Odoo because this is basically the center of information for this product. Every part of the system that references this chocolate bar is visible at the top and available through links. If I have any product on hand, it appears here, forecasted quantities calculated by my manufacturing orders or purchase orders that I'm expecting to receive automatically. Any sales I've ever made of this product, and so on, all at the top here, and even traceability throughout the system. Down here is where I set configuration information and essentially determine how this product is handled in Odoo. So first of all, we're looking at a stockable product versus a service or consumable. Most of your, if not all of your physical products will be stockable products. It's something that I keep track of the quantity on hand that I can order based on numbers. So this will be very important here. Price, cost information. If we scroll over here, we have vendor information if I do purchase from them. How do I track this by lot or serial number? And finally, routes. We're looking at 3 basic routes here: manufacture, buy, or make to order. This is a product that I make in-house. I do not ever order it from a vendor. It's not make to order. Make to order means that as soon as a customer requests it, I have to produce it in the back shop. So this is very simple, but we can configure, very complex routes which move inventory automatically from one location to the next. So that's what we have there. And there is other information here that we set on the product, but I now want to focus on the bill of materials. So let's click into here. As a manufactured product, I have to have a bill of materials. Automatically, again, we're looking at the list view. We see the quantity to produce here, what the name of the routing is, but let's click in here. Odoo does a very good job, I think, of keeping manufacturing information as smooth and simple as possible. Right here, again, we're looking at a list view of the ingredients that go into making this product. We make 10 at a time because this is a bulk product. I use 2% milk. I have a candy wrapper for each and cocoa powder. Those quantities are all determined right here. Notice the units of measure. These can be different from my purchase unit of measure, from my selling unit of measure, and even information here about where each of these is consumed and in what operation. So each one of these, important to note, does have its own product page. If I click on the 2% milk, it too has a product page here with information about quantity on hand, what's forecasted, and so on, so that I can automatically order it from a vendor or procure it in any other way automatically. So back at the bill of materials, important to note at the top, the ECO, the engineering change orders that have occurred for this bill of materials, we're currently at 0. So this is what we'll be looking at down the road. Other information under this tab, the version, again, version 1, and any byproducts from production, whether that be trash and materials to be thrown out, not scrap. Scrap is different, and we track that in the manufacturing process. Let's now jump over to manufacturing. This application, again, its own system. It has a dashboard here, which, like any app in Odoo, features some relevant information off the bat. And in this case, we're looking at workstations. In Odoo, we manage our manufacturing by workstations and by work orders. It's the more complex way to do this, and essentially more tracking per operation. Currently, we don't see any orders in these workstations. If they did, they'd populate right here. Now, at the top, manufacturing orders, work orders appear. Those work orders are basically determined by the operations in the bill of materials. That's a whole other configuration aspect of this. Other information right in manufacturing that we won't go into too much detail right now, but we do have plenty of other webinars on this, specifics about planning your orders, using the master production scale, and full reporting on this feature as well. Now, before we actually create a manufacturing order, the last thing to do is take a look at the routing. So again, we're going to be looking at the bill of materials for my chocolate bar. Note here, this is another link. Like anything in Odoo, if it's green, I can jump into it, and we'll take a look. Here, I've specified my different operations, operation 1, 2, and 3. These occur in order, and I've specified what station they go into. If I click on each one of these, there's still more details here. I have a worksheet for this one, a description that appears here, estimated duration, and I'll also be computing time in the real moment. We'll be recording exactly how long it takes. So let's go back. Let's now manufacture this product and take it through a typical flow. So first, we'll be choosing our product, the chocolate bar, and automatically Odoo will fill out this information about the bill of materials and routing that I've set for it. Now, as soon as I save this, this will populate for the quantity I'm producing. Let's make a change here. Let's actually go for 10. Oh, I'll make a new one because I saved it. So I've got 1. Let's update that quantity. And let's produce 10 now. Now, Odoo, because it's integrated, does have a lot of triggering actions. What that means is when I click plan now for this order, it's going to trigger Gantt views. It's going to trigger work orders for each operation that I have set here. Essentially, stock moves that are automated in Odoo. So now we're looking at, as soon as I plan that, 3 work orders, 0 of 3 which have been completed, and I can click into that right from here. I can view each one of them and what they'll be looking at. Most importantly, I can see status on the top right. The first one's ready, the next 2 are pending, because I've set this so that the remaining 2, the second 2, cannot be completed until the first one is done. So we'll have to go through these in order. Each one has its own instructions, and I'll be completing different tasks in each one. So let's jump in here. We'll click on Start Working. As you can see, I have instructions that I've attached for this particular operation. These can vary, but attachments in Odoo can be, I believe, up to 1 terabyte. So we're looking at usually more than enough room than you'll be needing for that. Now we can take a look at current production, how many we're producing, finally time tracking. As you can see, this is tracking in real time as I clicked. I can pause, I can go to lunch, and now we can continue production. You'll note up here that I have scrap. Now if I add other parts of or other add-ons to manufacturing, I'll be looking at being able to submit a maintenance request, quality control as well. Like I said, these are add-ons that we'll elaborate on in a different webinar. So for now, just understanding the process here, we start, we finish our production, and now we're on to the last work order where we can start time track, actual tracking per person that we can report on here, and also tracking statistics for each work center. You'll note up at the top that this progress bar is automatically updating, and now I can return to my manufacturing order using this breadcrumb trail at the top, and we can mark as done. This is now posted. I now have inventory moves automatically available, everything that was pulled from one location to the next, and I can click in to view details about original location, where this went to, what the source document was, and so on. Now, also important to note, cost analysis at the top right. We're looking at a cost analysis based on products that were used for this, as well as actually the cost per hour for each workstation calculated per unit down here, 35 cents. That gives me a good margin. So now onto the important part here, PLM, engineering change orders. It's nice that we've produced this product here. We have a basic bill of materials, and we've made one of these products using it. Now what happens when I need to change that bill of materials, either because now my vendor offers a different product, or perhaps seasonally we're just working on our recipe again. How are we going to keep track of that? And how do we track reporting? How do we track approvals and so on? That is with the PLM module. So we'll now jump over to PLM. And let's take a quick introduction to this app. Now, at this point, if you haven't seen Odoo before, you're probably looking at the manufacturing app, at the inventory app, and thinking a lot of them look pretty similar. That's because of the logic that I was explaining before. We're using squares here to differentiate different types of engineering change orders. We have green as links. We're now aware that this is something that I can jump into. And when I go in, I'm looking at a Kanban view, also something that we see frequently in Odoo. It allows us to track per stage in a very easy to move around and understand system. We have a lot of information off the bat here. Now, in PLM, we can set, first of all, different types of changes. As you can see here, we're differentiating between a seasonal change and here just between a ingredient change, something perhaps having to do with a vendor that we've been working with now not offering the same product. We can have many of these, and that's featured right under here, stages, types, and tags. We look at our types. We have seasonal change, ingredient change. We have ECO stages right here. Approvals. So we'll take a look at that right now. If we jump into one of these particular Kanban views, note that each stage I can definitely scroll into and move around, but I can have configuration for each one. What that means is that these 2 stages, perhaps anyone can move around in, can move these products from one to the other. Now for a status check, to mark this as effective or refused, I'm going to make sure that I receive approval from either a general manager, a manufacturing head of the floor, and so on. And so I can set those up right here under editing the stage. What type is it? Seasonal change. what approvals are necessary. I can have multiple per station. I can have one per station. I can have multiple at different stations. It's very flexible, and it'll cater to whatever process you're looking at. Perhaps you require 3 or 4 steps of approval, not only for the finishing of the engineering change order, but actually the approval. Will this go into effect? Will it be used now? And when will that start? Right? So this is all very important to set up beforehand, but can be changed on the fly, as you saw, from multiple places, editing the stage here, under configuration, and so on. So very simple. Other places we'll be looking, engineering change orders in general. This will be your status bar. I can look at all of my engineering change orders in total. I don't need to differentiate here by what type. I can look in my list view. I can group by product and see all the different changes that have occurred for this one product's bill of materials. You see a 1, 2, 3, and 4 routing change. There's an entire change here, change 2. And so obviously giving me some insight here, as well as information about the responsible person, who approved this, when it was supposed to become effective, and so on. So all of that can be accessed from here, and just like anywhere else in Odoo, I can actually access my products from here. My bill of materials is just like I can do from manufacturing or inventory. Now let's actually make a change. Let's go into seasonal changes, and let's create a new one here. I want to make a change to my chocolate bar. We'll call this winter change. I'm going to make a change to the bill of materials and to the routing. We'll choose my product. It's going to be my chocolate bar, automatically filling in that information. I do have a drop-down menu here, but consider that I only have one bill of materials right now. You might have multiple if you deal or produce from different vendors on occasion. So we have that. I can now choose effectivity date. Do I do this as soon as possible or at a particular date? I actually have a calendar view to choose from that. Perhaps until the end of the month, until the end of the year, we'll be producing currently, and then this will take place immediately depending on the date that I have set here. The way this works is that it says here as soon as possible. That's because we're not going to be seeing these changes occur automatically for a manufacturing order that's already been started. It'll be as soon as a new manufacturing order comes in after this date, that's when we will be completing this. Now, so for the sake of example, we'll do as soon as possible. And like the rest of Odoo, we have tags here. We can say this is some sort of particular engineering change, perhaps a simple change versus a difficult or complex one. We can add that here, give it a color, and now view that from the Kanban view. So bill of materials change and routing. Let's save and let's begin. So we'll start that revision, and immediately we've got information at the top. I've got someplace where I can add my CAD, any drawing information needed. We can upload a file. Let's go to Odoo, and let's choose CAD example. And this is now obviously a CAD document that I can upload. I can have multiple of these, and as I explained before, this is something that I can add up to 1 terabyte of information onto, so no limit really on that front. And now we can take a look at my bill of materials revisions and my routing revisions, and we'll see how those will populate down here. So first, bill of materials. Let's actually go ahead and create a new product that we will be bringing in here. Going to create an edit right from this screen. I don't need to leave that. And we'll call this cinnamon. Perhaps we're adding cinnamon. Probably, I don't know if I'm spelling that right. Let's make it hazelnut. There we go. That one I'm sure of. So again, filling out this product information right off the bat right here. Even give it a vendor. And we'll go ahead and save that. And also for simplicity's sake, I'm going to actually update the quantity on hand right from this page and say we have 10 of these in stock. Perfect. So I've actually just created a product on the fly, added that to the bill of materials. We'll be using 1 unit of this hazelnut per chocolate bar. I've now made that change. So click on that. Now we return to the ECO. We can see right here we have added a product the quantity, the type of product, what type of change it was as well. Did I simply change the quantity? Did I add a new product or remove one? That appears right here, and now we can go on to making my routing change. I'm going to go in here, and we're actually going to create a new route. Come in here and call this op4. We'll say this occurs at the baking station, or actually let's say the mixing station. It's predicted to take about 1 minute. However, I can set this to be based off the average time over time. This will help my planning. And I can give a description if I like, or simply post this. Operation 4 will be involved there. And again, I'll make that change, return here, and I've now got both documents reflecting this here. Now, note at the top that I have my stages for Kanban, so I can go into in progress. If we return to this engineering change order, we see that right here. I can, as a manager, mark this as ready to go, move forward, depending on my access rights. And now let's move this into status check. Now note immediately that up here in status check I have 3 buttons: approve, reject, and apply changes. That's because I've set this stage to be an approval stage. And now I'm not actually approving this change to be completed and applied instantly. What I'm doing is approving it past this stage. So if I approve it, I can now move it into effective, for example. Once I'm in effective, I can choose if this is going to be applied immediately. Will I be approving it for this stage as well? Or if I'm going to reject it, and we'll look at what rejection does later, but we'll basically move it right over here to refused, which itself will have a decision process and approval need. So let's immediately apply those changes. They've now been set up in the bill of materials. If we now go to my bill of materials, we'll see immediately that my chocolate bar has hazelnut on it. It has one ECO up here that I can always check. I can see that it's now effective. I can even see who approved it using the chatter area down here, as usual in Odoo. Returning to my breadcrumb trail. Note that change, and now note that we're looking at version 2. This is very important. We don't actually create multiple documents here in Odoo if you don't want to. Everything is kept as one. We can view those historical changes using the ECO, but at the same time simply keep this a little streamlined by using just one document to track that bill of materials. Now if I produce something, we'll simply run through this. I'm sure you would take my word for it, but we will now be producing with the hazelnut and with an extra stage. So we create one right here. We can add a chocolate bar. Note my new ingredients. Let's check availability, and we are ready to go. Let's actually just produce 10 of these again. And now let's plan that, and we can get going. Now note that this is started. I have started this I've started this work order, this manufacturing order, but it hasn't been completed. So if I were to have another PLM, another change order occur right now, this one would not be affected. This would continue as is until finished, and the next one would reflect that change. And if I wanted to make that clear, I can actually write a message to appear on a work order in other parts of the system about that change. So let's go ahead and create a new one. We'll say we're calling this return to old recipe. It is a seasonal change as well. We'll be looking at the bill of materials change quickly. We'll choose hazelnut. Oh, excuse me, not hazelnut. That's what we're going to be changing, chocolate bar. And now we can start this. We'll start that new revision. Edit here, remove the product. We're now back to normal, and even though this is back to normal, we'll note and we'll see in the bill of materials that it's actually version 3. We haven't gone back to version 1 because it documents every change that occurs. So now that we're finished, move into effective. I cannot do that because I first need to get through the status check. We can't skip stages unless approved. We can now apply those changes. And here I would create an alert. It's been applied. I can now say return to old recipe is updated or might be occurring soon at the work order level. I can say that's going to be occurring for my Hershey's, and it'll trigger this in the first station, my work center. And now returning to manufacturing, operations, manufacturing orders. If we create a new one, again, for my chocolate bar, we'll make 5, and those quantities will change automatically. Check the availability. And now plan, as soon as we jump in here, on our first mixing station, we have a message here. This will stay. It won't be removed unless I have the administrative rights to do so. And this will inform my team to probably just be a little more careful, perhaps check with the boss beforehand until this has gone all the way through. So again, in review, looking at PLM, we've got every documentation of change that occurred here. We can view those in a Kanban view. We can take a look in a list view. We can also even take a look, if I remove this filter, at all of them. At a calendar view, when did they occur? Did I move that around? Do I have to anticipate changes going forward? And will that affect my schedule? I also have an actual pivot table here like the rest of Odoo, like every other module, where I can access almost all the data available about this and compare it to itself, look at the product, come over here and look at the responsible person, all 6, what stage are they in, and kind of check the status of this, download this report, view it in a graph view, and a lot of this typical reporting that you'll see from Odoo, very flexible. I've now downloaded this to be available for Excel. So that basically encompasses the manufacturing and PLM that I wanted to show today. Nicole, I'm ready when you are to take a look at any questions, depending on how much time we have.
Yes, we are ready. Okay, we're going to go here. All right, yes, we do have some questions. First of all, thank you so much for the presentation today.
Sure.
That was really good. Okay, so we do have some questions. The first one is done by Shane Peabody. He's asking us, if the bill of materials has a bit of material under it, a second level bill, will the main bill of material cost analysis show the cost of the second level bill, including the labor costs?
Correct. That's a great question. Yeah, so the answer is based in what we looked at first, the fact that each product on the bill of materials has its own product page. So if I'm looking here at, let's look at my products, my chocolate bar, I have my bill of materials here. We've got a whole list of the products involved here. And if each of these does have a bill of materials of its own, I can click here and that'll pop up here. Here it is. We don't have one now. And yes, when we're looking at pricing or costing of a product, that is taken into account because it'll actually trigger that manufacturing order process first if it hasn't been completed. We'll see that all the way through until it's been completed, and then finally we'll be producing this product. So I believe we also have a nice way of looking at a bill of materials structure up here, which if I do have indented BOMs, will move down here in that fashion. So in short, yes, we can base our costing off of the products that are going into this manufacturing process, even if those are from another manufacturing process that was completed.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, for our next question is saying hello. Hello back. We're already using Odoo 10. We have many warehouses, but we can't find a way to associate a lot to a single warehouse or stock. What's the way to do it? I don't know if it's something that's going to be part of this kind of webinar or maybe...
Correct. So that would be, I don't have multiple warehouses set up here, so I won't be able to show that right now.
Yeah,
However, I invite, was that also Shane?
no, that was somebody else.
Well, if that's your question, feel free to shoot me an email or set up some time with me to talk about it. I can show that in another one. I like that top question here. Emily also asks, is there a way to show what products are consumed at each operation of the work orders? The answer is yes.
All right.
So let's jump over here again to the bill of materials. Right here, that tab is dedicated to this. So I can see exactly which one of these products is consumed under which operation. Each operation, you'll remember, is a particular work order. And so I can come in here. It's very easy to set this. It's just a drop-down menu of the different operations that I already have chosen for this bill of materials that I have set on the routing. And we'll see that go through right there. And we can have, of course, like you see here, multiple materials or ingredients used in one operation, some not consumed in any operation. For example, operation 2 here doesn't appear. We don't actually get rid or add ingredients or materials there. We actually just make changes to the ingredients we already have.
Perfect. All right. So our next question is by Rodolfo Kong. He's asking us, how could we issue different components to the manufacturing order if it's not normally a standard part, similar to a one-time build or part substitution?
So first off, what I want to mention is scrapping here. So we can pull products in at any point to produce that product if the available parts were not up to par or did not pass a quality control test and so on. There's basically, the short answer to this is there's a lot of ways, because we can either duplicate a bill of materials we already have. I could come in here. I could duplicate this one. I could make a change and say, actually, cocoa powder is not going to be what I use. Make a save there. Now I have a different bill of materials that I can produce with. I can also make some changes right after I've produced the manufacturing order. So if I come in here, we create a new manufacturing order for this chocolate bar, and we're going to produce one. Note that when I save here, these materials pop up. Check availability for those, they are there. And I can come in here and actually come in and change either the quantity. I can change what material has been used. Maybe we'll use a different bar to put in this. If I had other materials, of course, I would switch those around. And right from this page, even after it's been triggered, I can plan and move forward with this manufacturing order after making those changes. So yeah, again, a few different ways to do it, depending on if you know beforehand, if you have a generic product that you make custom all the time and just make small changes to. And like I said, simply duplicating or making change orders all the time. It's a pretty straightforward process.
Perfect.
Jerome says, once the manufacturing order is started, how can you add? Oh, that's the one we just answered.
Yeah, exactly. No, I was wondering the first question. So what we have here, they're asking how to choose source stock for make order and choose destination to stock product.
That's under routes. Okay. That, again, is a little beyond the scope of this, but I'll say briefly how that's set up. We actually have a webinar by Richard Shaw on setting up advanced routes. So if we look at the product, this is the best place to look at it now. You'll remember that we set the routes right here, manufacturer, buy, make to order. Now we can have a lot of these routes because what we do is, say, have 6 or 7 different types of manufacturing processes, just because in some cases products are pulled from one warehouse, in other cases they're pulled from a secondary warehouse, and so on. So this route can be set up to pull or move a product from 6 or 7 different locations, whatever it might be, and then be pushed to a different one. So again, that's where we'd set that up. You can have multiple routes chosen to do that. And we had to have advanced routes set up, and you simply put together information about each rule or push that occurs, the first one being a pull from one location to the next one being a pull from that final location to the final one. Once the change occurs, manufacturing, we can push it to a return location. It's kind of like pick, pack, and ship, which we see for inventory. You have the option to make this simple, just pull and return, or have many steps in that process.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so Emily just got back to us from our previous question. She says what she meant if she can have the products show in our work orders page and not just the bill of materials. She's saying that our technicians will not be viewing the bill of materials, only the work orders they are completing. Is there any way we can maybe explain this a little bit further?
No, I think I understand. Let's actually take a look at the work orders and see if we can find what she's talking about. I don't think, Emily, I have it featured right here. I think I'm missing a configuration, but obviously that makes sense. And so what we would usually do is have those products, as far as the quantity produced, listed here, and we could pull the quantity necessary. Now, I'm not sure why it's appearing for me right now, but if you, like I said, shoot me an email and we can take a look and kind of explore together, see what the best thing is going to be for your company. All right?
Perfect. All right, so we have one other question just came in.
Sure.
Done by Pete. Is there a way to fix the batch size for manufacturing? The bill of material size can be set, but there does not seem to be a way to restrict the MO quantity to be only the size in the bill of materials.
Yeah, no, I do understand that question. The reason we have it set that way is just to keep the platform flexible. You know, we've got certain products on the bill of materials that no matter what quantity you put in will change the ratio of quantity of other products in the bill of materials. However, the best way to approach that is to restrict permissions per user so that people can't change that once it's been put in. So maybe have just an administrator or a floor manager have access to make those changes and put in or validate and plan that manufacturing order.
Perfect. Yeah, that makes really good sense. Okay, to finish off, if you guys have any more questions, please ask them in the chat. We have one more we're going to answer. How do I differentiate between types of ECO?
Oh, how do I differentiate between those types? That is under PLM. So we looked at actually each of these boxes will have its own Kanban view, and each one is a different type. So down here under configuration, we can look at ECO types. I can make a new one, for example, and say this is a just end of year ECO. I have an email alias here, and just to explain that briefly, I can actually set up an email here that says end of year at plmtest.odoo.com, which is my website, my database's URL, and people can just write in by email to make this change if they have those access rights. So here we are, ECO types. We made a new one. Now under dashboard, we see end of year ECO with the email alias below it. This will have its own Kanban view that I can now put together and say specific stages for. I can write new, I can write finished, and we can actually edit that stage. Like I said, over here, take a look at what approvals are necessary. We'll say general manager requires approval to mark this as done. And users, Sebastian Segramoso, myself. Perfect. So now when we produce something, we'll make those changes, and then we'll require a change, an approval once it's been moved into the last stage.
All right, perfect.
Let's see. Dan has one question here about different bills of materials to build the same final product. How do you decide which is primary? Well, you can set a sequence on the bill of materials, first of all, so that one is either sequence 1 or sequence 2. Sequence 1 will be your preferred bill of materials. You can also just choose it if necessary when you're producing and from that drop-down menu that we saw.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Sebastian. It looks like this is all for the questions today. If any of you have any more questions you want to get answered, you can definitely send an email directly to Sebastian, so ses@odoo.com, or webinars@odoo.com if you have any suggestions for new webinars or would like to find a specific topic maybe inside our archive. Okay, so thank you so much. Don't forget to click like if you found this video helpful, and subscribe to our channel if you want to see any future webinars. If you arrive late to this webinar, you can always rewatch it in the same URL link once the live stream is done. And thank you again all for joining us. We'll be back next Wednesday at the same time, so 11 a.m. PST, for a new webinar on Odoo Sales Management. You can sign up for this webinar on odoo.com/events. This is all for today. Have a good day.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, everybody.